Hi, thank you for watching Eddie Video Blog. Today from Tallinn, Estonia. I made a few video blogs about how overpopulation is a myth, and I got a lot of backlash in the media for that. They were saying to me that, oh, this guy thinks that there's no overpopulation, while it's so obvious that there is overpopulation. They're funny because if you just do a Google search, you can see that overpopulation is really a myth. Actually, all the birth rates are declining. There's maybe a few exceptions where the birth rates are still increasing, but they are an exception. The majority of the countries on this earth have declining numbers. So I don't get where this media, which is very old-fashioned, you know, they don't process news very quickly, it appears. I'm talking about low-quality media. There's also some good media, but this low-quality media, they still think that the world is overpopulated. They have this myth in their minds. They've seen it in movies where some actor, you know, he speaks a few lines about how overpopulation is destroying the planet, and they copy that. They don't have really ever thought about it themselves, and they call me maybe a conspiracy theorist, but you can look it up yourself. Look at what the birth rates are in any country and you can find it. And you will see that most of the countries are now at replacement level or under replacement level. And they also are declining. And they don't really seem to grasp and understand what that means. First of all, of course, it means that there is no overpopulation. Overpopulation is just a theory, a myth, and it's a funny story, although I think it's very harmful to think that human beings are a problem, that life, natural life, because humans are nature, that is a problem. I really distance myself from that idea. I think it's horrible. I think it's very nihilistic and bad. But secondly, they think really that when countries, that there's still overpopulation. I cannot understand how I can take these people seriously. I am a simple guy with a camera, and I understand these facts. And I also understand the implications of declining birth rates, because they are living there, you know, in their jobs comfortably, and they think that they're on top of the world. But sooner or later, they start to suffer, because that's what happens when a civilization is dying. People will suffer. And I don't mind it that much. For me, it's not a problem, the declining birth rates, because I decided to live in nature, to live naturally. So I don't need civilization that much. But they're depending on it. And they think that there is an overpopulation, so that's a myth that they're believing. It's totally false. But secondly, they think that if I share to them like the true facts, that everybody can just Google or go to ChatGPT and find it. You can just fill in, oh, what's the birth rate in this and this number, go to it and you will find it. And majority of countries are under replacement level right now, especially in the West. Like so-called civilized countries. The most civilized countries have declining birth rates under replacement level. And what they don't seem to understand, and this is very important, is that these declining numbers will never stop. They might think that, oh, you know, it's just temporarily, or it's good because there's so many people in the Netherlands. It's the right thing that's happening. But it's not the right thing. Because once in the Netherlands we had a number that would like multiply the population. Like every generation there will be more people. Now suddenly, I don't know what year, but probably a few years ago, it fell onto replacement levels. So that's 2.1. And that means that the population stays stable. Every family needs to have at least 3 children, because you have to take in account that children can die before they have a family, before they procreate. So at least 3 children to stay at replacement levels. Well, and we've seen in the 70s and 80s, I know because I grew up in the 80s, I was the only child in school that was from a family with more than 2 children. Except for a Turkish and a Moroccan family. Because they also understood that it's healthy and natural to have a big family. But out of that, nobody had more than 1 sibling. As some had were only child. And that was promoted back then. But people don't seem to understand that these birth rates, if you are at replacement level, it will start to fall. Because it will become normal to have only 2 children, or 1 child, or being even childless. And they don't seem to understand that you cannot return anymore. You cannot turn back to, oh, let's say we all have 3 or 4 children and we have this replacement level. No. These people that were laughing at me don't seem to understand that the numbers have dropped under replacement levels. So now, we have no more replacement in the Netherlands. Their own population is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Now we're at 1.5. And many of the birds are, we can write to immigrants, because they have larger families. The Dutch people are having even fewer children. Most of them don't have any children. And what it eventually means, and this is very important, is that these numbers will continue to drop. So it doesn't stop with 2.1. You might say, oh, that's great. Like how the communists tried to organize a society with, oh, we just look at what people need and we produce that. That's how people look at these birth numbers. That's how the policy is. Oh, we need this amount of people in a country, so we need a birth rate of 2.1. Then we are set, and then we can continue our, our civilization. But it doesn't work like that. Once the numbers drop, they continue to drop, and that is already happening. So now we're at 1.5. So that means that the population of the Netherlands, next generation, will be half of that. So there won't be 17 million, there will be 8.5. And now people say, oh, that's right, because it's a small country, that's fine. That's good, we can manage that. But they don't seem to understand that this 1.5 number will be even lower in a few years. So that means that not in the next generation we go from 17 to 8.5 to 4. No, we go even lower. There might be only 1 or 2 million people, because these numbers continue to drop. They drop from 2.1 to 1.4 to 0.4 and to maybe 0. There will be a day that nobody will have any children anymore and the country will just stop to exist. And this is something they don't understand. It's very hard for them to understand that declining birth rates are eventually leading to 0 births and the extinction of a civilization, of a society. And I found it odd that I have to explain that to them. Because they in their mind think like a communist, like, oh, we can just produce that amount of shoes and then everybody will have shoes and then we are all equal, etc. You cannot plan these things, you cannot plan nature. Nature is working for itself. You have to live in nature to give nature its power. When you live in nature, you will have many children because it's natural to have some. You don't worry about all these things. There's no planning. But civilization, of course, needs planning. Civilization, of course, needs to be controlled. And that's where they got these numbers from. And we've seen how horrible it went, for example, for China, when they very strictly tried to plan their population. The same is happening, have been happening in the West, but they do it a little bit smarter. They do it through propaganda, you know, telling people that, oh, you're evil if you have children, you're destroying the planet, blah, 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 blah. We all know the propaganda by now. It's just propaganda, it's indoctrination, nothing more than that. But if you think clearly now, if you see now what they're doing, or I better say, if you see what this means, just facts. If birth rates are declining, they will not stop declining. And you see that in the most civilized places like Japan, Korea, the birth rates dropped the hardest, are dropping the fastest. You see them not having any interest even in the other sex anymore. Men are not pursuing girls and girls are not interested in men anymore. Why? Because they live civilized. They are distracted with artificial, unnatural things like work, like digital stuff that they do online. That is the reason. Civilization will always cause a society to collapse. You cannot stop it, you can throw money at it, you can have some propaganda. It will not work. Civilization is the root of the decline self. It's basically self-hate. Civilization hates itself so much that it helps itself to go extinct. So one more time, get it in your mind. When birth rates are dropping, there is no status quo. There will not be like a workable number. Absolutely not. It's what we've seen. For example, in the West also. Now they have to pour in all these immigrants to do the jobs, the work that we don't have the people for. That's the problem. We don't have people to do all these jobs. Then, of course, they have to get all the immigrants in the country to do the job. That's basically what it is. So you have to imagine what's happening. And like I say, the numbers will go from replacement levels, under replacement levels, and then if it goes, for example, to 1.1, population will cut in half, goes under to 1.5, the population will go even faster extinct. So I say, go back to nature, then this is not even a problem to you, you don't need civilization. But I say check out my other videos for more on that. So that was for today from Tallinn, Estonia. I say thank you for watching and see you next time.